All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Commissioner's Corner, the official podcast of the Jay Fiacchi Choke Club Dynasty League, where the trash talk is loud, the trades are questionable, and the beer, well, it is occasionally, every single week, shotgun on video. I'm your host and commissioner, Luke, proud GM of the Addams family. I do need to change that name. And it's time to dive into week, what is it, 11 now or 12? I don't know which it was, 11 or 12. But yeah, this week did have a lot to talk about. We did have 3 different individuals receive a strike. We had some real close matchups, and rumors fly fast. And today, we separate fact from fantasy. Stay tuned. All right, we're gonna get right into it, and we're just gonna do this in one take. I do want to touch on the controversy that happened. I kind of want to just explain what happened, how it escalated. You know, it seems like some people misunderstood the situation. Some used it as political gain. I'm not really sure why it escalated to the point that it did, but just to kind of give you a play-by-play of everything that happened. So Monday, I had a manager come up to me, Regan O'Shea, saying, hey, I'd like to propose a rule, something potentially that we could do, maybe not next year, maybe the year after, I'm not sure, but I'd like to see about potentially making, a draft lottery for the league. I had never heard of something like it. I mean, I've heard of it a couple of times, maybe here and there. Don't really know too much about it. I'm not really in any leagues that have that. So I was like, hey, I'll kind of help you make something and draft something up. Obviously, Cody works with us. Cody very against this idea. Let me get that out there. Was not in favor of a draft lottery. So obviously, me and Regan spent a little bit of time kind of coming up with things. Got some advice from a couple different individuals. Cody put his input to us. Hey, what if this situation happens? Like just as an example, what if someone has somebody else's first? How does the draft lottery work in that sense? Obviously we had the big issue, with 3 different individuals, including myself, getting strikes this week. So I was like, hey, how could we incorporate, strikes, make it mean actually something when somebody gets a strike, in this lottery situation, which we kept going in on. We kept making iteration after iteration. Obviously, it's just 3 people. You kind of want to get some input from some different individuals. Unfortunately, made the mistake of looking for advice from Jay Fiacchi. Just simply asked him, hey, Jay Fiacchi, what do you think of this? It was a big, long thing, tons of different information in there. I wouldn't say not 30 seconds later, and let me tell you, it didn't take 30 seconds to read through the whole thing. He was kind of coming at us saying, absolutely not, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Okay. We understand. We wanted different points of view. That's how we get to better, rule changes and that kind of thing. So I was like, hey, what do you think could be changed here? Didn't really get a response. I was like, oh, maybe it makes it fun. And then all of a sudden we see a novel written. Yada, yada, Luke and Cody are in their lab conspiring a horrible idea. Granted, Cody was against this idea, would have voted no. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I don't really want to read the novel here. But essentially used it as political gain to try and start his uprising and try to become commissioner of the league. I'm not really sure why he wants to do that. He never comes to any drafts. He doesn't really participate in draft day. I know everyone else has come to drafts, so I'm not really sure why he'd want to commission the league, but it was just kind of sad to see someone, I'm just coming at it from a very honest point of view to him, just looking for some simple advice. For him to take that and use it as political gain was, I don't know, just unfortunate to see. So obviously I will not be asking for his advice anymore. Obviously he's got a different agenda than I do. My goal is to make the league as fun as possible. I thought, hey, this could potentially be a fun option to add into the league, which it sounded like, mainly everybody agreed that, this could be a fun option, maybe not next year, maybe not the year after, but in 2029, which I think is completely fine. So that's really all I was looking for there. And then I can kind of, ideally, I would want to have ruled that out when I roll out all the other rule proposals that come through. So just kind of want to clear the air on that, not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes like Jay Fiacchi would like you to think. Like I said, I really don't know why he wants to become the commissioner of the league. He really doesn't know anybody. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Like I said, not trying to not trying to be shady or anything here. So yeah, that's all that was. Spent a ton of time making that. So if you have any other proposed rule changes, just let me know. I'll spend way too much time thinking of all the different scenarios. Obviously I'll get advice from different individuals, not Jay Fiacchi obviously anymore. But yeah, that kind of will get us into our next segment. We did have, like I said, 3 individuals with a strike. So we'll get into that controversy here in the next segment. Just stay tuned right after this break. This episode of the Commissioner's Corner is brought to you by Adam and Eve, the ultimate sponsor for fantasy managers who, well, don't always score where it counts. Right now, when you use the promo code CORNER at checkout, you'll get 50% off almost any single item, plus free, discreet shipping straight to your door. Don't wait for waiver priority. Upgrade your personal lineup and guarantee satisfaction in every matchup. That's promo code CORNER at adamandeve.com. Adam and Eve, championships aren't the only thing worth celebrating. All right, jumping into our next bit here, the 3 strikes rule. We had 3 individuals leave 3 different guys on out in their lineups this week, the most we've ever had. It was Regan O'Shea leaving out Brian Thomas Jr., who was out. Dylan Webb leaving out Keon Coleman, who was out. And nobody's above the law, and especially not me. I was also left CJ Stroud, who was out. In my defense, I was driving to the Bills game, and I had Cody look at my lineups to make sure they were good, and he said it was good, so might be Cody's fault, but I don't know. We knew CJ Stroud wasn't playing for a really long time, so I don't know why he was in my lineup. So that's my bad. Definitely didn't do it intentionally. Honestly, if I did end up having somebody in my lineup, I wouldn't have been the lowest scorer to, once again, shotgun. So that would have been nice. But moving on to Regan, left Brian Thomas Jr. out. I think from what he was telling me, just another one of those just overlooked and didn't realize he had him in the lineup. I think moving on to Dylan, leaving Keon Coleman on, he was a game time out, I believe. I don't think it was the day before where it was announced Keon was out, but I could be wrong. Yeah, Keon Coleman, honestly, might be one of the worst, I would say one of the worst picks in the draft in the Bean era, but Kyrie Elam was also drafted, so anyway, just we're getting too far into the weeds, but obviously 3 strikes rule was broken by the 3 individuals I just mentioned. So that, I believe, is 5 total individuals on the year, just with 1 strike. Nobody ended up getting a second strike there. What I thought was interesting, and I kind of touched on it in the last bit, something that kind of came up as we were making, iteration after iteration, is I feel like it might make sense to have, some sort of consequence for getting a strike. Right now, it's just 3 strikes, you're out. I like that idea. And I like that rule, but I think, if you have a strike, you get strike one, some sort of consequence should ensue. If it's like a game timeout, though, I feel like something like that should happen. So if you have any sort of ideas, let me know. I will be sure not to share them with anyone that's going to use it for political gain. And I'd love to just kind of hear your guys' ideas for some sort of consequence for strikes. I would say I know you can leave a guy on out and you might not realize they're out, kind of in Dylan's situation. I'm not going to say mine, but Reed, honest mistake as well. So, maybe not for the first one, but, for the second one or, something clearly not a mistake. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But, yeah, those were the three individuals with a strike this week. This episode of the Commissioner's Corner is sponsored by League Penalty Insurance. Have you recently received a strike? Forgot to shotgun your beer chug video? Accidentally ghost mode the waiver wire for 3 straight weeks? Don't panic. The League Penalty Insurance Group has you covered. Our team of experts will handle excuses like, my dog ate my recording, and I swear I sent the video, must have been the Wi-Fi. League Penalty Insurance, protecting fantasy managers from their own stupidity since, this week. All right, let's take a look at last week's matchups. Starting us off, Team Evan Squire versus Mystic Dan. But something that I didn't notice, Evan Squire low-key changing his name to Scat Pack. Kind of love it. Team Scat Pack overtaking Mystic Dan 167 to 134. Evan's team is kind of nasty. Low-key, we kind of talked about this in previous weeks. I feel like he's been a lot of people's underdog pick, and underdog no more. He's 7-4. James Cook, 20 points. Tat McMillan, 33 points. And Trey McBride, 32 points. George Pickens, 29. Just overall, just great team. Mystic Dan, I know he's kind of pushing for a playoff spot. Unfortunately, taking another loss. Still 6-5, still in the playoff hunt. Nothing too crazy to look at there. Pooper matchup of the week. Team Regan O'Shea 7 versus B-Todd 74 to 96. Neither team scoring triple digits. Unbelievable. B-Todd moving up to 4-7. Regan O'Shea 6-5. He may be a fraudulent team. I believe other individuals might be right about Regan's team. I believe he could be fraudulent. Not a single player over 20 points on the team. Tough look. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you. But yeah, B-Todd, J-Mo going off 19 points. Mark Andrews 17 points. Couple of good things to see there. Interesting to see where this 101 spot's gonna be. I'll touch on this here at the end of these matchups. Moving right along, closest matchup of the week. Chicas Rats versus Caldemar Hamulets. Chicas Rats edging out Caldemar Hamulets by less than a point. Unbelievable. 133.76 to 132.28. Unbelievable matchup between two pretty decent teams. And Shug, I believe, probably not going to make the playoffs, but, we'll see. Caldemar Hamulets obviously probably, definitely making the playoffs, but that Jamar Chase suspension, not going to be the best thing this week. Moving right along, Most Hated versus Josh's Jacks. Josh's Jacks taking the dub 138 to 114. Pretty demanding win there. JSN, Puka obviously putting up some decent points. Stinker in the super flex spot for Josh's Jacks. Khalil Shakir, 0.7. Yeesh. Could have put pretty much anybody else in there, minus Mac Jones for the negative points. But Most Hated, couple of good performances. Jacoby Brissett, 21.88 points. Diggs putting up just about 20. A couple of decent performances there. Just couldn't edge out Josh Allen with 42 points. Unbelievable game from the MVP. Moving along. TJW versus Running a Chain on Your Mom. TJW, unbelievable performance this week. 158 points. I've said in previous weeks he could be the 101. I don't know about that anymore. Travion Henderson looking like an absolute demon. 32 points, 2 touchdowns, 3 total touchdowns. Unbelievable. Nico Collins with 24 points. Are we kidding me? Michael Wilson? Michael Wilson, 33 points. Jeez. Did not realize that. That's an unbelievable performance. Just great performances. QJ, 0 points. Keon, 0 points. 2 goose eggs on running a chain on your mom's team. And Sam Darnold with 4.2 points. Unbelievable. That'll get you 71 points. Almost a low score of the week, but that brings us to the low score of the week. Me, 67 points. I should have started somebody in the Superflex spot. That is my bad. Versus Jay Fiacchi, Daddy and his boys. 168. Just another week for Jay Fiacchi up against one of the worst teams in the league. Shouldn't have been too big of an issue there, but yeah, Christian McCaffrey with 35 points. Bijan Robinson with 30 points. Just a couple of absolute juggernauts on there. And didn't have a single guy get over 20. Jalen Hurts had 14.5, I guess. This team is pretty awful. I need to make it better. But yeah, Jay Fiacchi continues the winning ways. 10-1. That one loss is always going to hurt. Moving on to this week's matchups. Couple of interesting things. I'll be up against the Scat Pack. I'm projected 99 points to Scat Pack's 152. That shouldn't be too big of a surprise who wins that. We have 2 4-7 teams, TJW versus Chiker's Rats. That should be pretty interesting. I'm excited to see what happens there. In our closest projected matchup of the week, we have Daddy and his boys versus Mystic Dan, 159 to 158 projections. I am very excited to see the outcome of that. Most Hated versus B-Todd. I believe that Most Hated is going to edge out B-Todd in that matchup. Josh's Jacks needing a win to continue the playoff ascent. But he's projected 167 over Regan O'Shea's 127. Obviously, we've heard it in the past. Regan O'Shea is a fraudulent team. Josh's Jack's going to take that no problem. And then running a chain on your mom versus E. Wingerden. The projections say Wingerden's going to take this by about 30 points, but this is I think this is the underdog of the week. I'm going to take running a chain on your mom to make the upset over Eric Wingerden. I know I mentioned something interesting I wanted to talk about. Has anyone looked at the standings lately? The bottom 6 teams are all 4-7. Unbelievable. 4-7. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All with the same exact record. The 101 is up for grabs by anybody at this point. So I'm very interested to see who ends up taking the 101. If any of these players can sneak into the playoffs, dethrone any of the people. So very interested to see what happens in the coming weeks. So I do have a very fun segment coming up, but I need one more ad. We need this ad revenue, so stay tuned. Today's show is also sponsored by the Bitchless Hotline for managers who get scared when the waiver wire looks at them funny. If you or someone you love is suffering from chronic Jay Fiacchi syndrome, symptoms include complaining, excuse making, and inability to win big games, call now. Operators are standing by to remind you to grow up and play fantasy like a man. The Bitchless Hotline, because nobody wants to hear another Jay Fiacchi meltdown. Fuck you, Jamie. All right, welcome to the last segment we have, but it's a new segment. We've had the podcast going for a few weeks now, and we've got some fan mail. So I am loading it up right now. Let's see what we got. So at Bills Mafia Big Chugs. Love the show, Luke. Real question, though. How does Jay Fiacchi have so many opinions for a guy with no rings? Honestly, great question, Bills Mafia. Man has a lot of talk and nothing to back it up. Honestly, I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. I think he's just compensating for the 0 ring thing. So, next up we have Shotgun or Shame Commissioner. What's the over-under on Adam's family finishing last again? And does he get a loyalty punch card for punishments? Honestly, good question. I think there is a good shot that I do finish last again. And I think it might be cool to have some sort of punishment if you have multiple lasts. I feel like that could be something fun. So, yeah, I think I should get a loyalty card because if I finish last for 2 out of the, 3 or 4 years we've done this, it's kind of sad. Let's see. What do we got? At Bench Your Studs, bro. If a manager disappears from the sleeper chat for 3 days, do we send a search party or just give him a strike? We're not giving him a strike. We're all old rats now anyway. So I think we just send a search party. Just say, hey, how we doing? Are we still alive? Definitely not giving him a strike. So, Trash Talk Hall of Fame. Who talks the most trash but has the least trophies? Question mark. I have a strong guess. Rhymes with Jay Fiacchi. I could agree with you there. I think Most Hated also has a good opportunity to be right up there as well. Regan kind of getting sneaky. I think Regan's kind of sneaking into conversation, but definitely Jay Fiacchi at 1. Most Hated at 2. Let's see. What else do we got? What other things do we have? At Waiver Wire Warrior 2, rank the league's beer shotgunners from Elite 2. Did that come back up? And can we get a slow-mo next time? I like the slow-mo idea. I think that's what I'll do on my next one, do a slow-mo. But it's tough to do Elite from Did That Come Back Up? Because I think we only have, 3 people that have done the shotgun. And we still have multiple people that still need to do a shotgun. So I would say Elite, we have Mystic Dan. In second, we have TJW. And in third, I think we have me. Mine exploded, so I feel like that's a fair spot to put me. But yeah, we still have 3 other individuals that need to do shotguns or multiple shotguns. So hey, let's get to going. At Analytics Nerd 420, Serious Q, what's the commissioner's official stance on tanking? Because some lineups look suspiciously like surrender flags. I think we've done a good job at making anti-tanking rules. We've got the 3-strike rule in place. I think that's a very good deterrent. We've got the shotgun now in place. It's not really something that I feel like most people want to do multiple times. Some of us might. I might want to. I don't know. But, all right. On to the next. At Little Baby Bitch Boy JF. Not a question. Just reminding Jay Fiacchi to take his courage supplements before the next episode. Thank you. Thank you for that. Got a couple more here, and then we'll probably end it. But let's see. At Auto Draft All-Star, Regan negotiating trades like, I'll give you my trash for your gold. Bro thinks he's running a pawn shop. Honestly, Regan is really tough to trade with. He hangs on to his players like, I don't know if I can say that on the pod, kid show, but something gripping a lollipop. I'll let you fill in the rest. But yeah, it is really hard to trade with him. I did tell him, Jaden Daniels last season, he needs to offload him. He wouldn't do it, and now he's holding the bag. Let's see, what else do we have? Anything good here? At Bench the Commish. Ooh, how do we feel about the commissioner leading the league in strikes, power abuse, or power move? All right, I mean, I think leading the league in strikes is a bit ridiculous. I'm tied with 4 other individuals. There's 5 of us with 1 strike, so I think you're just in your head. So you can go fuck yourself. Lastly, at Trade Rape Survivor, Serious Q, who approved that last trade asking for everyone who's ever been robbed by Cody? All right. I think I know who wrote this. Yeah, I think it was a good trade for both. I don't know if it's exactly the last trade you're talking about. I think I know the trade you're talking about. I like my trade. I think I got really good value. No one else, barely anyone else, offered me anything worthwhile for those guys. And I needed a tank. So you got to do what you got to do. But other than that, that is pretty much it on my end. Obviously, another interesting week in the books. Yeah, I'm glad I got to clear the air. Hopefully, we don't have any other, uprisings or, we can keep the politics out of here. All right, guys. All right. It's just a little too much sometimes. So, yeah. So other than that, let's have a fun week this upcoming week. Reminder, week 14 is the trade deadline, so make sure your trades are in place. Additionally, we are coming up on the end of the season, so any rule changes that you want to make, let me know. I'll put them together. Obviously, we'll put them up to a vote like we do every single year, and let's make this league better and better. But I'll catch you next week for all that Week 12 has to offer. But until then, as always, good luck setting those lineups, and may your points for finally match your points against. Thanks, guys.